My mom moved in with us after she sold her home to avoid medical bankruptcy. Things have been rocky because my mom was always a my house, my rules type of person. I have an older brother, Scott, who helped my mom with home repairs, but Scott and my wife do not get along, so he doesn't come over much. My wife and I went away for a weekend getaway and Scott visited my mom. They repainted our living room white. It was navy with built-in bookcases and a pantry. The paint job was poorly done and the original paint job with the bookcase cost us thousands. My wife started crying and my mom and brother said they wanted to brighten the place up for my mom. I didn't know this then, but my wife called my sister-in-law, my wife's brother's wife, a lawyer, and the contractor who originally worked on our living room remodel. My wife is getting ready to press suit against my mother and Scott and has already handed my mom a legal eviction notice. It's deserved and I back it 100% because this paint job was done so poorly and without the homeowner's permission. My mom is saying that with an eviction for property damage, she will not be able to find a place and my wife needs to stop. My wife has installed cameras in the home and is getting the court orders in place for my mom and brother. My wife's family is paying for this, and at this point I'm afraid to say anything because I feel like if I protest too much, the big divorce will come, and with my wife's sister-in-law as a lawyer, I don't want to mess with the situation because it's a crap show. My brother told me my mom has rights, and I said I guess it's time for my mom to lawyer up on her dime because I'm not touching this, and it's my wife's lawyers pushing things through. I did sign off on the lawsuit. My mom said she would contest the eviction and I needed to man up and make my wife do the right thing and drop the eviction and lawsuit, but I refused. Am I the idiot for telling my mom it's time to lawyer up? Edit, my mom had a medical bankruptcy because of cancer and couldn't afford her home after she took out a loan for treatment. That's why she was living with us in the first place. My brother is an addict. Not the idiot. Sure, your mom has rights, but as a tenant, those don't include painting without the landlord's permission. Your mom committed property damage and your wife reacted accordingly. Your brother probably should have thought, why is mom purposefully wanting to do this when no one is home to stop her? Maybe I should call my sibling to check on this painting before I do it. Instead, he was like, well, this was professionally done, but I'm going to slather on some paint and hope for the best because mom told me so. It's not about the poor painting job, it's about respect and boundaries, and your mother and brother are crossing them easily without shame. Even if the painting was good, the results would be the same. Your mother is right in one thing, man up. I think this is just one problem in a series of disrespectful and hurtful situations your mother and brother put your wife through, and you did nothing. Am I right? You don't take this seriously. Apologize to your wife. You are the idiot for being spineless. Clearly you choose not to get involved in all this instead of backing your wife. Breaking it down, your mother and brother painted the living room without permission and waited until you and your wife were gone to do it. Instead of telling them they needed to hire someone to fix it, you left it to your wife to be the bad guy in all this. Your wife is 100% correct to evict your mother and is doing so legally. Your mother has no more rights to live there than a stranger renting a room. Good luck to her finding somewhere else to live after an eviction is on her record. I don't know if I'm in the wrong or if I'm being gaslit. I, 36 male, attended my ex's 37 male wedding this weekend and I apparently failed a test. My ex, Adam, and I dated in high school from the time we were 15 to 18, when we amicably split up to go to college in different states. Since college, we've kept in Facebook familiar contact, where we'd wish each other happy birthday or congratulate each other on big milestones, but we've had no other contact in the 20 or so years since then. About a year ago, I saw his engagement post on his Facebook page and congratulated him. A few months ago, he Facebook messaged me, asked how I was doing, and said he wanted to have a bit of a high school get-together at his wedding since he was holding it in our hometown. He was inviting most of our mutual friend circle, and he'd love for me to attend too. I hadn't seen most of these friends in over a decade, and I thought the idea sounded fun, so I accepted the invitation. The wedding was this past weekend, and it was incredibly normal. I attended with my husband. He met all of my high school friends and their partners, and we had a great time. Sunday morning, I woke up to a slew of Facebook messages from my ex's new wife about my audacity to attend the wedding and how I was the only one who failed the test out of all his former girlfriends. She said that clearly you shouldn't attend an ex's wedding unless you're still hung up on them, and how I must be planning to steal her new husband away. I was shocked, but I also apologized if I'd been unwelcome, and how I must have misunderstood as my reason for attending was to see old friends. She immediately responded and again said that no sane woman with good intentions would ever think it was okay to attend their ex's wedding. I again apologised if I was unwelcomed and hoped my presence hadn't detracted from her day. I then messaged my ex and apologised if I'd misunderstood and hoped I hadn't caused any issues. He replied that he was glad I attended, that the invitation had been sincere, that there was no separate event planned, and that he was glad to see the old friend group and apologise for his new wife's messages. I left it at that, thinking it was a closed matter. A few hours later, the new wife messaged me again, complaining about how I was trying to manipulate her new husband to make her look crazy. I decided this was not a ship I wanted to sail on, took a screenshot of all her messages and my replies, sent them to the ex and said I was just going to go ahead and block them both so I couldn't be accused of inappropriate contact with anyone. Yesterday, I started getting messages from the bride's sister saying I poisoned my ex against his new wife and I should have kept the messages to myself. I'm also being told I could have avoided all this by knowing I shouldn't attend my ex's wedding. I'm honestly not sure if I'm in the wrong or if I'm being gaslit by an insecure woman and her sister. So, am I the idiot for attending my ex's wedding? Oh my stars, you're not the idiot and your friend's wife is back crap crazy. First of all, he is not your ex. You dated for a few years when you were kids. And yes, I guess that you may have been each other's first love and or other firsts, given your ages, but you were teenagers and are now pushing 40. Block the sister and never respond to anyone involved in this again. Oh dear. A high school sweetheart invited you, you've both moved on, and he invited others from back in the day as well. I don't see this as an issue, especially if it was clear you're also married. The only issue is her. He had every right to see her messages to you. He married her. He has the right to see how crazy she is, in my opinion. I'd not give her the satisfaction of blocking him, just her and her minions. He does not have to give up his past friendships for some crazy, insecure woman. He's someone who's clearly still a friend of sorts, but that does not mean romantic feelings remain. Your group has a history together. She doesn't. She's insecure and controlling by the sounds of it. I give this marriage 5 years at maximum, and that's pushing it, LOL. My 26 male birthday was a few weeks ago. My girlfriend, 24 female, and her friend are into things that I find a little outlandish and weird. I love her and her uniqueness, and I appreciate what she does, but I do think some of their habits and interests are unusual. We do not live together. She's made comments about how I need more artwork, and I agree. She got me artwork. A homemade piece of artwork that she was given the idea through TikTok or something. Her best friend also did the same thing for her boyfriend. The best thing I can describe is that she sat in paint and then sat on the canvas and made a print of it on a canvas, or something like that. Honestly, it must have turned out really well because you can clearly tell it's butt and legs. The problem just arose recently because she came over and found the painting in my closet. She asked why it wasn't up and I tried to dance around it. I told her the truth, that my parents stopped by sometimes and I didn't want them to see it. She started telling me that the picture was beautiful and that I should want to embrace her and some more lines about how I should embrace our intimacy. I told her that honestly I find it off-putting. I think it's weird and borderline creepy. I told her I was very uncomfortable hanging up something like that, and if she checked with me first, I would have told her. She asked if I truly wasn't going to hang it up. I told her no, I will never consider putting that on my walls, but I appreciate the thought. She started crying, said I'm an ungrateful idiot, and she took the painting and said she would hang it up at her place. She said her friend's boyfriend loves the one he got, so she can't understand why I'm such a jerk about this. Am I the idiot for refusing to hang up the artwork my girlfriend got me for my birthday? If someone gave me a gift I didn't want, that's one thing, say thank you and just deal. But giving someone something that is both deeply personal and so intended to be publicly displayed is bringing in a whole mess of other things that really have to be talked through. Not the idiot, but you all need to have serious conversations about being on the same page. This could easily become bad really fast because, to her, you rejected something meaningful and personal that she did for you and are, by extension, rejecting her or indicating that you aren't comfortable with her, are ashamed of her. You all have to talk. Covering in paint and sitting down isn't painting. She isn't painting anything. This is talentless schlock, not a game-changing art form. This is as avant-garde as peanut butter. This is what an 80s sitcom would consider a prank. Also, people need to react better when people don't like their gifts. My girlfriend, who's an art teacher by the way, would be angry if I gave her this and would call it art. Assuming you care about her, just reiterate that while you appreciate that she made it for you and you love her body, it's just not your style of art at all. Artwork in one's home is very personal, and you shouldn't have to display something you don't like. I've seen that sitting in the paint trend on TikTok. Personally, I think it's tacky and stupid, but each to their own. Go to a local art fair or Etsy or something and find some pieces you like. I, 25 female, have been best friends with Sarah, 25 female, since middle school. We've always been super close and I've been there for her through thick and thin. But now I may be crossing a line and I'm not sure if I'm in the wrong here. For context, Sarah has never been great with money. She's always overspending, going on shopping sprees, and living paycheck to paycheck. I've tried to give her advice, but she usually brushes it off with, "I'll figure it out," or "It'll work out." Well, last month she got evicted from her apartment because she couldn't pay rent for 3 months in a row. When this happened, Sarah called me crying and asked if she could move in with me. At the time, I didn't know what to say. I felt bad for her, but I live in a small one-bedroom apartment with my boyfriend Jake, 26 male, and we both work from home, so space is already limited. I told her I'd need to talk to Jake about it first before giving her an answer, and when I did, Jake was really uncomfortable with the idea. He reminded me how Sarah could be irresponsible with money and said he was worried she'd overstay her welcome or bring drama into our home. He also pointed out that Sarah has a history of taking advantage of others' kindness. So after thinking it over, I called Sarah and gently told her I couldn't have her move in. I explained how we didn't have enough space and how it could strain my relationship with Jake. I offered to help her in other ways, like lending her some money or helping her find a more affordable place, but she flipped out when I said no to her moving in. She called me selfish, accusing me of abandoning her in her time of need, and said a real friend would never turn their back like this. Now Sarah won't talk to me at all. She's posted vague, passive-aggressive things on social media like, "Some people only care about themselves," and "You find out who your real friends are when things get tough." Our mutual friends are split. Some think I should have let her stay temporarily, while others agree it's a big ask. Jake says I did the right thing, but I feel horrible. Sarah's been through a lot and I don't want to lose her as a friend, but I also don't want to be stuck in a bad situation at home. So, am I the idiot for telling my best friend she can't move in with me after she got evicted? Not the idiot. Once she moves in, you do realise the only way you get her out is by evicting her. Also, what is your current landlord's policy on adding new tenants? Often, these situations can be avoided by saying, "My lease won't allow me to add new tenants or sublease." Most friends won't push if they know what they're asking, which will lead to you being homeless. Those that do are not your friends. Like Sarah cares about what a landlord has to say. I mean, her landlord dared to expect her to pay him regularly. She got evicted for a reason, and eviction is not a simple process. Her landlord was dead serious about wanting her gone. What makes you think she'll change her behaviour? Has she told you why she was evicted and said anything like, "Well, I sure learned a lesson there, I won't do that again," to you? Exactly. Not only would she overstay her welcome, she would also eat all the food that she didn't buy. Real friends share, right? I was hungry. Use all the products. Come on, you don't mind if I use your toothpaste, do you? And she would rack up the utility bill and never pay for it. Let alone she'd just take over the living room and dictate when OP can go there because I need privacy. So it's better to turn her down right away because it would eventually lead to having to evict her and the friendship would end anyway. OP, don't feel bad. This friendship was doomed the second she asked you to move in. I have a perfume collection. I started as a teenager slinging burritos as my first job. I have over 400 bottles at this point. I take great pride in my collection and I use it. I'm also happy to give people decants, samples of most of my bottles, let them sample a spray or two, give some bottles as gifts, etc. What I have a huge freaking issue with is my nearly adult niece coming into my home under the guise of walking my dog, decanting bottles on her own and selling the samples to her little friends. She thinks I wouldn't notice some missing or getting massive dents in them because I have so many bottles. Well, Little Miss Entrepreneur failed to realise that her private Instagram wasn't friends only or whatever, and I saw every freaking story with each price and sample she had. I tallied that crap up and got a pretty good estimate based on cost per ounce. Thankfully, she mostly picked the TikTok famous perfumes like Bianco Latte and Escapade Gourmand and didn't go for the rarest niche perfumes. She did snatch an entire 2.5-ounce bottle of Baccarat Rouge though, which runs at $300 plus at most retailers, as well as full bottles of perfume you can get at Sephora like Marc Jacobs, Daisy, Burberry, Her Elixir, Flower Bomb, etc. Petty or not, I printed out the entire list of what she'd taken, including the price estimate, and handed it off to my sister, her mom. I said that I expect to be paid back in full, and of course her freaking sneaky little behind is never allowed in my home again. My sister got super angry with me going on about how my niece is just a kid, kids make mistakes, etc. I said yes, kids make mistakes, and this is a great way for my niece to learn from hers. They argue that now the money she would use for a car has to go towards paying me back. I don't care. She's lucky I have no interest in involving the police, small claims or any of that. But am I the idiot because she is a teenager? She's just a kid who created a successful business enterprise selling stolen property. This is a great way to learn. You are so right, OP. The next person might not let her off so easily. She has to learn the lesson now so it sticks. This is a character-building core memory if she has consequences, not the idiot by any measure. Right, like you're not asking for her to use her hard-earned cash to pay for an accident. She didn't spill a glass of wine on a silk run and now she can't afford a car. You're asking her to pay back the money she earned from theft. She stole from you and is trying to argue she shouldn't have to pay you back because now she can't buy something she wants with the profits of her crime. She's nearly an adult. She's not a kid. If she's old enough to be driving a car, she's old enough to know stealing is wrong. 100% this. This is the story of a family member. That person started off stealing stupid crap like candy or clothes from family. Then it went to money. Then they committed forgery and credit card fraud as well as stealing our grandparents' car. If you let it go when it's little things, it escalates to the big things. I'm wondering if the niece significantly undervalued the samples and now would have to use the money she'd saved from other sources to reimburse OP fully. It sucks to not only be a thief but a poor business person too. She might be able to learn multiple lessons from this little stunt.